I'm Guy Kestivan, the Tester Man, and this is the Lezyne MegaDrive 2400 Plus. And if you want a super reliable, really good quality beam in a light that's probably bomb-proof enough to use as a hammer and will fit to any handlebar you want, then it is indeed mega. But if you want a load of fancy features, and you want to be able to put it on your helmet as well, then not so mega. But let's get into the details, explain all that, and throw you some footage of it being used on the trails. So first off, 335 grams. That is a lot of weight to put on your noggin. There are some lighter, lower power Lezyne lights like the 1200, which work fine on a helmet mount, but this beast, that's going to be a bit much unless you've got a neck like a wrestler. However, that means you've got a 9,600 milliamp hour battery in there, which is, I think, almost the biggest capacity battery on test. And when you consider this light is only 180 quid RRP, but you can find it for around 130 quid really easily, then that's a serious amount of battery power sat in there. Plus, it's USB-C chargeable, and not only can you use it as a power bank to charge other devices, but it also works for pass-through charging. So even though the run times on this are really long, you can also add an auxiliary power pack onto the back of it for longer rides. So I've jumped ahead here, but we may as well talk about it. So claimed run time, I've jumped ahead here, but we're already on battery capacity. So claimed run time is 2 hours. So claimed runtime is 2 hours 15. I've actually had almost 2.5 hours out of this on my lights testing rig as an average. It's actually very, like I say, very, very simple light. So all you've got in terms of communication is that light on the top. It's a traffic light system. It's green, then orange, then red. However, although the red is supposed to come on 50% through charge, this actually comes on at 65% charge. So I had a couple of rides when I was getting used to it where I was like, oh no, I'm running out of power already, and kind of like toggled back on the power modes just to extend the runtime when I really needn't have done, because it still had plenty of runtime left. But even once it gets to that sort of red flashing mode that signals you're right at the end of battery power, you've still actually got around 25 minutes of runtime to get you home on sort of limp mode. Also, because it's a fully CNC machined alloy body and you've got fins all the way around it, it's really thermally efficient as well. So you can run it at full chat, even on relatively mild, slow moving nights without any issues. In terms of the actual light, you've got 5 LEDs in there. So you can see there's 3 little ones across the bottom and then 2 at the top. They all look like spot beams, and to be fair, there's no obvious refraction in the light. It's not the furthest reaching light for 2,400 lumens. You know, there are lights with a more focused punch that will get you further, but the real strength of this light is the way it fills in all the detail. So it's not a super wide flood, but what it does cover, really consistent, easy to read, and again, just like the operation system, really trouble-free. I mean, there's no remotes on this. You can't change modes with a Bluetooth app or anything like that. It's very much, sold as seen is this light. But one thing I would say is default setting comes in like a sort of standard road bike light, which comes with a huge amount of menu options. So 4 steady modes and then 4 flashing modes. So if you're using it off-road, whether that's gravel or whether it's mountain bike, first thing to do is just set it into what they call race mode. It's just a long button press on the top. That puts it into race mode, which means you've got basically in low power mode, which is 700 lumens, it just illuminates those lower LEDs, so you've got more of a flood beam, and then one click gets it into the absolute full power, 2400. So again, you know, it hasn't got a remote, but that little nipple, it's recessed enough so you won't trigger it accidentally, but on the other hand, it's easy to find, even with gloved hands in winter. So again, just super tough, super practical. Moving on to the mount. I mean, this is the only potential Achilles heel with it, but it's also a big advantage as well. As you can see, it's just a silicone strap, big, thick silicone strap with this optional kind of rubber shoe that sits on it. So you can take that off if you're not using it on a round bar, which is great, you know, for like all-in-one sort of carbon bars or anything like that, where you often get a non-round profile. And you can even turn it through 90 degrees to fit it on a stem if you want. You can unbolt that and you can fit it to a GoPro mount. And that's actually worth considering because, like most strap mounts, because this is quite heavy light as well, it's relatively balanced. The mount is in the middle in terms of a centre of gravity point of view, but on long sustained downhills, you can get a little bit of creep and a little bit of bounce. I mean, to be honest, looking at the footage, it's not a massive issue, even when you're going down steps. It's kind of more of a perceived issue than an actual issue, how much vibration comes through the light. But if you're on a sort of glossy surface carbon handlebar or something like that, the light can sometimes slip slightly, which obviously means it drops its field of view slightly, which isn't what you want on the most technical, roughest descents. So if you are having that issue, then consider getting a GoPro mount adapter for the bottom of it, and then you can use pretty much any mount you want that you can run an action camera on. So that's an easy workaround on that. But apart from that, it's just an absolutely bomb-proof light. I mean, I kind of talked about it a bit last year as part of my big Lezyne lights roundup, and since then I've been testing a load of other lights. So my mate Ryan, you'll have seen him in a ton of videos, my regular testing wingman, has been using this light most weeks all through that time, and I used it a ton before that. Not had a single reliability issue because it's such a simple light. There's just less to go wrong. Plus, it's fully IPX7 waterproof rated, so it's actually submergible if you wipe out in a stream or forget to take it off before you wash the bike. It's not too much of a drama with that. So while it might not be the fanciest option around, then if you want just a really good beam, particularly for off-road stuff where feel is more important than far, you want simple universal light. I said all this at the start, but this is the tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you've told them, the classic review format. So yeah, great battery life for the money, really good universal mount, but not a light if you're into your bells and whistles. And there are a load of light tests coming up. I think I've got 5, 6 in this kind of between 2,000 and 3,000 lumen category, actually 3,500 lumen category. I've got Magic Shine, got Cat Eye, got Outbound, got Raveman, Exposure, got Exposure as well, and maybe even getting a couple of more options in there. So while you've watched this review, make sure you watched some of those other reviews, which will be up very, very shortly if they're not up already, to get a good overview of this category. Because I think in terms of practical mountain biking or riding at night, I think this category of light is the real sweet spot. Enough battery time, enough power to do pretty much anything. You don't need to spend megabucks to get a really, really good light now. And this is a prime example of that.